Alright, continuing from the previous video, we're going to look at now, see we've actually got this screen size set, and we got the background image set, and then this is the background image. Now we're going to go and load the sprite. The first sprite is going to be, I'm going to go close this game window now. To be able to do that, I just have to go and close this shell window and it closes automatically. So the name of my main hero sprite is going to be my main ship. So I'm just going to go here and then write hs equal to, I'm going to define a name, and there's going to be a variable, and then the name of that is hs, because I always use two letters to determine or define any of my variables. So I'm going to call that hs as hero sprite, and I'm going to say here make, again remember s should be capital SPRITE, make sprite, and then I have to give the name of the file. So I'm going to go here, select once, copy the whole thing, and then say Control C, and afterwards I go back to my codes and then say Control V. I only said that now, and then I said, hey, can you go and make a hero sprite for me? And then it says, okay, I'll do that. Then again, after that, what I'm going to say here is, I'll say here show, and then S capital PRITE is show sprite, and open it, and then I'm going to say hero sprite, and where do I wanted it to be shown. We'll just go and run this saying show sprite and then see what happens. I'm going to go just say, I said I made the sprite, I said show the sprite. I'm going to go run this now, and then there's no error in the program, so it's not going to yell back at me, but it's not going to show me, it's going to show me my hero sprite somewhere here, but I wanted it to load somewhere here. So this is where we get to learn how we're going to be moving it to the desired location. So let's go close that, and then I'll say here MOVE move SPRITE move sprite, and then I'll say here 310 and 320, and shift with close it, and then say run. Each time when you run it, it always says, do you want to save it? And then save it and then run it. Ta-da! Oops! It says move sprite. Yep, missing one required positional argument. So move sprite what? Which sprite? I wanted to move the sprite hero sprite, so I got to go put a comma there and put, hey, can you please move the hero sprite to that particular location? So I'm going to go run this here now, run the module, and here we have the hero sprite loaded down the bottom here. Okay, may not be perfectly at the center of the screen, but this is where I wanted it to load, and it loaded perfectly. What did we learn from this video is we learned how to go and create a sprite, okay, and how to show the sprite and how to move the sprite. This is where I also wanted to go and show you each time that numbers can be changing. So if I press the right arrow key, which means this 310 keeps changing. If I press the left arrow key, that particular x-axis keeps decreasing. Okay, so as it moves to the left, the x decreases. As I move to the right, the x increases. And with the, so that's the mechanism that we are looking at. So we have to go now understand one important thing of using the variables. The same concept can also be used for the enemy sprite. So first of all, we will give a meaningful name for our variables for the x-axis and y-axis. So I'm going to call this, hey, hero sprite x, can I set it to 310 please? Alright, and hero sprite y coordinate, I'm going to put that to 320. So I set two variables, hsx and hsy. So anytime I go back to that and I say, hey, what is hsx? And hey, wait a minute, hs still refers to the hero sprite, and hsx is the x coordinate for the hero sprite, and hsy is the y coordinate for the hero sprite. So I'm going to go put here HSX, and then I'm going to put this here HSY. So once I've done that, I'm going to go run the module and check, and if everything is fine and all my variables are declared properly, and then there we go, ta-da, it never yelled back at me, and then it worked perfectly. Now I'm going to go close this window here. Okay, so that part is sorted. Now we got the enemy sprite here. Okay, easy peasy. When you want to go and do the enemy sprite, it's going to be a lot more easier now. See, enemy ships.png. Alright, cool. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to do it in the easiest way. So I'm just going to go copy the whole thing, Control C, and then Control V. Okay. Instead of H's, I'm going to call this ES, standing for enemy ship. And then I'm going to say here, enemy ships.png. I'm going to give that name Control and C. Okay, so let's go back here, and then I'll go and put the enemy sprite here, Control V. Now I have to show the enemy sprite, ES, and I wanted now to move the sprite ES where exactly I wanted. See, these are again hero sprite coordinates. This is not what we wanted. We wanted the enemy sprite coordinates. If you want the enemy sprite coordinates, first of all, look at this. This was the window. Double click and open it. So this was around 780 and 420. I wanted my enemy ship to load somewhere here. So if this is being spread into 780, maybe I'll say this is around 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. So I'll say 120, so around, okay, 220, 320, 420, 520. Okay, so around 120x, and then again y will be 0 to around 0 to 420. So I'm going to say here maybe around 50 I wanted it to load. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say here I wanted it to be 120, and I wanted it to be around 50. Okay, so that's my enemy sprite, show sprite. Let's go and run this, run module, and then let's see what it has to tell. Alright, look at that. That's exactly where we wanted and where it loaded. So I'm going to put 5 enemy ships in place. But if you see, I'm going to go and add gravity to this. So if I'm going to go add gravity to this, it's going to go continuously, keep on going down. Well, we will think about it eventually. We will talk about it later. But for now, what we're going to do is we wanted to load 5 of those. But then, if you go back into the folder, you only have got 1 enemy ship. This is where our variable naming comes really handy. Look at that. This is where we're going to call that enemy sprite 1. Okay, I'll call this enemy sprite 1 and enemy sprite 1. Again, for the enemy sprite 1, x coordinate is 120. We'll leave the y coordinate as 50, right? So which means I'll say here ESX1 enemy sprite, oh no, actually ES1X equal to 120, okay, and ES1Y enemy sprite 1Y equal to 50. I'm going to say here ES1X and ES1Y. All of this will start making sense. This X coordinates and Y coordinates for the hero sprite, the X coordinate and Y coordinate variables for the enemy sprite will start making sense in 2 different situations, which we will see in the further video. 1, we want the enemy sprites to automatically move based on the gravity. Oh no, there's no gravity in the space, but definitely there's gravity for our window because I'm gonna have these ships moving from top to bottom. So then we also going to have the again, another thing that I was wanting to tell you is based on our keyboard inputs, our hero sprite is going to be moving. So that's why we need those variables. For now, enemy sprite 1 x is set to coordinate is set to 120, y is set to 50, and then es1x, es1y. One advantage of naming the sprites this way is when you wanted to create multiple sprites, it goes bang, creates it easily. We are just one step away from creating multiple sprites, but before that I wanted to go and test this one here. Boom, it loads up perfect. Now see how quickly the game's already started to take the shape, and then how our code is being built step by step. If we loaded the background, we loaded the hero sprite, we loaded the first enemy sprite, and all other 4 enemy sprites will be loaded just like that. I'm gonna go close that one now. Simple. Control C, and then Control V, Control V, Control V, and Control V. So these are 4 sprites, enemy sprites 2, 3, 4, 5. Similarly, what I'm going to do here, Control C, okay, press enter, Control V, Control V, Control V, and Control V. If you see that, so we got 4 of those sprites here and 4 of the variables here. So all we have to go and do is enemy sprite 2x, enemy sprite 2y, enemy sprite 3x, enemy sprite 3y, enemy sprite 4x, enemy sprite 4y, enemy sprite 5x, and enemy sprite 5y. Simple. But if you see all the x coordinates of 120, which means like all of those sprites will be made and overlapping on the same sprite. So I'm going to go increase this 122, make it 220, this will be 320, and this will be 420, and this will be 520, and then I'm going to leave all the y in the same spot. So it will be like horizontally loaded, and again here we got to go change this one here, enemy sprite 2, and enemy sprite 2, and enemy sprite 2x, and enemy sprite 2y. I would like to draw your attention here. All of these are coming from the enemy ships PNG, which is just this file here. But the sprites are made, the different instances are made for that particular file. Let's go back here and then go further up, and enemy sprites 3, and enemy sprite 3, enemy sprite 3, enemy sprite 3x, enemy sprite 3y, enemy sprite 4, enemy sprite 4, enemy sprite 4, 4x, and 4y. One step away. Haven't we done the 5th one? I think we've done the 5th one. I'm not sure. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Let's go. Enemy sprite 5, and then enemy sprite 5. Oops, not 15. Enemy sprite 5, and enemy sprite 5, enemy sprite 5x, and enemy sprite 5. Why? Let's go and check this out and see what happens. Run the module. Here we go. Ta-da! We got these 5. I don't know why this guy is showing up here, but we'll go and fix him now. Alright, so ESX1 is 120, 50, 220, 50, that is 2x and 2y, 3x and 3y, 4x and 4y, 5x and 5y. I'm definitely sure we must have done somewhere something wrong. Enemy sprite 3, enemy sprite, this is where we've done it wrong. Look at that. We went and defined enemy sprite 2, enemy sprite 2, but we're saying enemy sprite 1. Okay, we don't want it to show that there. We have to say enemy sprite 2. I said run that, ready to attack our hero ship. So now we have done with the what do you call loading of the sprites. So we loaded the background, we loaded the one main hero ship, and then we have this 5 enemy sprites loaded. So in the next video we will see how we can move these sprites automatically. Right? Cool.